Hello, guys. Welcome to the second session of Doris with AWS. Previously, we discussed how Doris helps us handle massive workloads effortlessly while keeping operations simple and efficient. In this session, we would be deploying Apache Doris in AWS. We would be seeing how we provision EC2 instances, looking into the network settings, and all other requirements needed for deploying Apache Doris in AWS. Hello, my name is Jano, and let's get started. So this is a project architecture flow that we had decided in the previous session. We would be looking into this particular instances where we want to deploy Apache Doris into the EC2 instances. Before we move with the deployment, we need to understand server requirements. For our project, we would be focusing on testing environments, so we would not be using more powerful servers, but yet we need to go through to understand what are the requirements of the servers while deploying it in EC2 or in the local environment. So for testing environment, front end and back end have similar configuration. They both must have 8 plus cores, more than 8 gigs of memory, 10 gigs of SSD or SATA, and then network in 10 gigabit. The minimum instance count for both front end and back end would be 1. The slight changes in backend would be in matter of disk because it's used for storage. We would use slightly larger SSD, rather 50 gigs or plus. If you look into the production environment, we would require a bit more powerful servers. It's ideal to use 16 plus core CPU with memories more than 64 gigs, and the disk use would be an SSD or RAID card with more than 100 gigs of space and a network with 10 gigabit network bandwidth. The maximum or the minimum instance count that we can use for front end would be 1, although it's a good practice if we have multiple front ends, at least a couple of front end would help us because then we can actually have master, follower, and observer as a front end. In similar case with the backend as well, the specification remains same, just the instance count should be 3 in the production. While there is no such mandate in front end, but for the backend, it is mandate in the production environment, you at least have 3. All this you can actually review in the official document available in Apache Doris site. They have this requirement mentioned there. Feel free to go there and check all the requirements needed. The other thing that we require is port planning. So B and FA instances of Doris communicate using various ports. So we need to make sure we have all the necessary ports available for us. We would be enabling the shown ports in our environment as well. This is actually critical for them to communicate. If it's not enabled properly, it would not be able to communicate with each other, leading to issues. So we would be enabling all the necessary ports as they have instructed in their installation guide. So you will find the same exact information in the installation guide. I'll urge you to go through that installation guide and be advised if something changes. Other prerequisites for Doris would be Java runtime. So if you're using Apache Doris before version 2.1, it is ideal that you use Java 8. If not, if the version is 3 and above, you need to use Java 17. Other than that, you would also require to install Python which should be a version 2.7 or above. In regards to that, you also need to install GCC C++ tool for this Doris. And we would also require any other build tools that are required for zipping, unzipping, curl, gets, ninja builds, other tools that you require while in, installing Doris onto any environment. So let's go and jump back to the AWS console and see how we can actually install Doris. Okay, currently I'm in my AWS console and we would be creating an EC2 instance in order to install Apache Doris frontend and backend. In this session, we would be installing frontend. So let's just go to EC2 instance. And if you see here, I have already an instance running here for the front end. I have not created backend. So this is T3X large instance type that I'm using. Now the instance type would vary according to your usage. In the production environment, you would be more inclined to use compute optimized, memory optimized, or like accelerated computing. So choose your instance as per the need. And as of right now, I have actually taken T3X large for my demo. Right, this is running on Ubuntu 64-bit architecture. It has 16 gigs of RAM and like 15 gigs of root volume. It is actually connected to an public subnet, and I have also assigned an public IP to this. I have assigned public IP so that I can get connected using EC2 Instance Connect. That's option available in AWS. If you want to connect to SSH, you need to have an SSH connection in the security group. So I have also created a security group, which is the main part. We need to have all the ports configured here, which is necessary for FE and BE to communicate with each other and vice versa. So I have created a security group, and here you can see I have all the ports available with me, which is actually mentioned in Apache Doris documentation. And the source is 000. This is not something recommended for production. 000 means anywhere from any IP can actually connect to this, which is not a good option if considering if you are working on a production environment. So be advised, try to use or try to uh, allow only those IPs which are trustworthy and make the update in the source. For the demo purposes, I'm being using 000 and being connecting anywhere around the world, but in the production environment, make sure you change it. So how you change is just go to edit inbound rules, add your rules here, and click on save rules. It also gives a warning here, rules with source 0000 allows all IP address to access your instance. You don't want this in your production, or that's not ideal. So make sure you are advised, and as of right now I have actually created, so I'll just click on cancel. So let's go to the dashboard. I have the instance running. uh, as I said, this is running on an Ubuntu 64-bit. So I'll just go ahead and connect to it, and I'll be using EC2 Instance Connect. There's also SSH Connect client that you can do via PuTTY, but I'll be using EC2 Instance Connect. That's easy for me and everything under one bucket, and make use of AWS more. So I'll just click on Connect. Okay, we here. So earlier I actually updated the packages here. That's something you need to do. So if you come here, just type in sudo apt-y update, and it will actually update all the packages. There are some OS requirements for Apache Doris that we need to fulfill. One of them is to maximize the open find handles. So as per the document, it says 65536. That's the open handle limit that Apache Doris says we need to set. So we'll be updating our limits config and making it to 65536. So let's do that. Sudo nano to append at the end of the file, soft no file 65536, and then hard no file 65536. Okay, and save. Yes, and we have saved our limits config. The same way, we need to actually turn off the swap disk partition. The one way is to actually go in and permanently disable it in the systems controller config file. The other way is just to type in the command of swap off -a. That's what I will be doing to do. Just create swap off -a, and that should do the trick. Now we would want to install Java. So let's see if we have the Java. Yeah, we don't. Java is not found. So we'll be installing default Java. Sudo apt default. Okay, JDK. Just give it a Y. Okay, the Java has been installed. We need to set up Java environment. So we'll be updating the environment file. So I need to get the path where so we'll be running update alternatives to see what all alternate if we so if you have more than one Java version installed, you will be see here. So currently I'm just interested in this path. I'll grab the path, copy. I'll just resume and just update sudo nano etc environment and just add Java home and let's add X save and just update the source. It's updated. We would also require Python to be installed. So let's see if we have Python here. Python 3 version. Okay, we have Python installed in us and it's for 3.12.3. We are good with that. We want anything about 2.7. The other thing that we need is the GCC compiler for installing or compiling Apache Doris in Ubuntu. We already have, I suppose, in GCC package in Ubuntu repositories, but it's still good to install. So I'll try to install sudo install GCC 11. Yes. Okay, we're done. Plus create a symbolic link to it. Okay, we created the symbolic link as well. Let's just download Apache Doris into this. So if you type Apache Doris download, you will land in the page that looks like this. We have 3.0.3, that's the latest version, and there's just the earlier version 2.0.15. We would be using the stable one, that is 2.1.8. We'll keep the architecture as slash 64. And let's just take the link here and run wget, and it's currently downloading the bin file. Okay, it's downloaded. Let's unzip it. Okay, it's been unzipped. So we need to actually make changes in the FE config file. The one major change would be to change the priority networks. We need to replace the IP address with our server IP address. That's the one. That's how it actually starts the FE server. Given that which IP it needs to be, which IP it needs to be having set up for FE. The other thing is to set up the variable for meta directory. So we'll be doing that as well. So let's use sudo nano apache fig and scroll down. This is the meta directory uncommented. This is we are happy with what is configured. Doris home and Doris meta. That's fine. And we'll set up the priority networks. So this is the priority networks that need to set. The IP address that we're currently using is 10.0.3.90. That's written here, private IP. So we'll be doing that. Dorex, save. Okay, and that should be it. Let's try to start the service. So sudo apache fe bin start daemon. Okay, so let's check the logs. Fe there's logs, cd logs. Let's see cat fe.log. Okay, it says system has no available disk capacity or no available BE nodes. This is expected as we have not set up BE and this BE is not set up to connect with FE. So I think it's the FE has actually been started. Let's see if we can get the front end UI that's Apache Doris has configured. So it's the simple way is to get the public URL appended with 8030. So let's just see. This is the public IP address. Let's open connection and go 8030, and it should be an HTTP, not HTTPS. Okay, we have the Doris UI here. The username would be root and the password would be nothing. This is actually written in the Apache document. So if you go through that, you would know. Okay, if you set up, if you go in the playground and say show backends, execute, is internal run. So if you see there is no backend attached to this front end, and we would be working on that and creating a backend and attaching that to this front end. So that's it for the FE deployment in AWS. So I'll see you in the next video where we'll be configuring BE server. So see you then.